The autumn wind whispered through the endless cornfields surrounding Omaha, Nebraska, carrying with it the sharp scent of harvest and a promise of change. In this quiet Midwestern town, where neighbors waved from porches and the skyline was dominated by silos rather than skyscrapers, lived Alex Harlan, a 29-year-old financial analyst whose life had always felt like a borrowed coat. Functional, but never quite fitting, Alex's days were spent in a sleek office building downtown, crunching numbers and forecasting trends. But his nights were haunted by echoes of a childhood that left scars deeper than any balance sheet could measure. From the moment Alex could remember, his adoptive family, the Warrens, had treated him like an afterthought. His adoptive parents, Victor and Marlene Warren, resided in a sprawling colonial home on the outskirts of town, complete with manicured hedges, a gleaming driveway, and a swing set that creaked in the breeze. They had two biological children, Dylan, 2 years Alex's junior, with his cocky grin and effortless charm, and Sophie, 5 years younger, whose laughter could light up a room, but never for Alex. On the surface, it was a picture-perfect family, the kind featured in holiday cards. But beneath, Alex was the invisible thread holding the edges together, fraying with every pull. As a child, Alex's differences stood out like storm clouds on a clear day. His raven black hair and piercing green eyes contrasted sharply with the Warrens' fair features, sparking whispers at family gatherings. Marlene, with her perfectly coiffed bob and a voice like polished steel, would introduce Dylan and Sophie as my pride and joy during school events, her smile wide and genuine. For Alex, it was always a curt, and this is Alex, as if he were a stray cat they had reluctantly taken in. The sting of those moments built up like layers of frost on a winter window, chilling him to the core. One vivid memory from his 7th birthday replayed in Alex's mind like a scratched record. The family had gathered in the living room, the air thick with the aroma of vanilla cake and pine from the Christmas tree they'd kept up too long. Laughter echoed as gifts were unwrapped. Dylan's new bike, Sophie's dollhouse, Alex clutching a handmade card he had spent hours decorating with crayons, approached shyly. "I made this for you, Mom," he said, his voice small. Marlene glanced at it, her lips twitching into a forced smile. "That's nice, Alex. Put it on the fridge." But as the evening wore on, he found it crumpled in the trash bin, discarded amid wrapping paper. He fished it out, smoothed the creases, and hid it under his bed, a secret talisman of his unspoken pain. That night, alone in his attic room, cramped and drafty, with slanted ceilings that made him feel even smaller, he cried into his pillow, the muffled sobs blending with the distant howl of the wind. Desperate for belonging, Alex threw himself into proving his worth. He aced every test, volunteered for chores, even learned to bake Marlene's favorite apple pie from a faded recipe book. Yet the rewards were meager. A nod here, a good enough there. Overhearing Victor and Marlene one stormy evening only deepened the wound. "He's grateful, that's why he tries so hard," Victor muttered over his coffee, the thunder rumbling outside like an omen. "We gave him everything, roof, food. He knows he's indebted." Marlene sighed, stirring her tea. "Sometimes I wonder if it was worth it. He's just not one of us. Alex, eavesdropping from the hallway shadows, felt his heart shatter like glass underfoot. He wasn't family. He was a debt collector's reminder. But amidst the frost of rejection bloomed a single flower of warmth. Grandpa Elias. Living on a weathered farm 2 hours east, where the soil was rich and the stars painted the night sky like scattered diamonds, Elias was Alex's sanctuary. Summers there were a rebirth. The old man, with his calloused hands and twinkling eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, greeted Alex with bear hugs that smelled of earth and tobacco. "There's my champ!" He'd boom, ruffling Alex's hair. Together they'd tinker in the barn, the clang of tools and hum of engines drowning out the world's cruelties. Elias taught him to mend fences, plant seeds that grew into towering sunflowers, and fish in the lazy creek that wound through the property. Evenings on the porch swing brought stories of far-off adventures, accompanied by Elias's raspy guitar strums, folk songs about lost loves and found treasures. Alex's off-key harmonies never drew criticism, only encouragement. "You've got soul in that voice, boy. That's what counts." It was during one such sunset, the sky ablaze in oranges and purples, that Alex, at 12, mustered the courage to ask, "Grandpa, why don't they love me like they love Dylan and Sophie?" Elias set down his guitar, his weathered face softening. He placed a hand on Alex's shoulder, the weight reassuring. "Alex, my boy, some folks are blind to the gold right under their noses. You're a diamond in a field of stones. Don't dim your shine for them." Those words became Alex's anchor, but Elias's cryptic hints stirred deeper currents. "One day, you'll uncover the roots of your tree," he'd say, gazing at the horizon, "and it'll change everything." Alex pondered these riddles, imagining a hidden heritage, perhaps royalty or explorers, anything to explain his outsider status. Back in Omaha, the cold returned like a relentless winter. Dylan tormented him subtly. Nicknames like the Charity Case, whispered to friends during backyard barbecues, his laughter sharp as thorns. Sophie was kinder but distant, her eyes averting when Alex sought connection, as if he were a ghost haunting their halls. At 14, Alex crafted a wooden jewelry box for her birthday, carving intricate patterns late into the night by flashlight. He presented it amid the party's chaos, balloons popping, music blaring. Sophie unwrapped it with a polite, "Thanks," then set it aside for flashier gifts. A smartphone from Victor, designer clothes from Dylan. Later, Alex spotted it buried in the recycling, splintered and forgotten. He salvaged it, vowing silently, no more gifts, no more futile bridges. By 16, Alex's attempts grew bolder. Hearing Victor boast about restoring an antique car, Alex spent a weekend in the garage, grease-streaked and determined, repairing Dylan's rusty motorcycle. The engine roared to life just as Victor arrived home. "Look what I did, Dad." Alex beamed, wiping his hands. Victor's face darkened. "That's Dylan's ride. Stay out of our things." The rejection hit like a punch, leaving Alex reeling. He retreated to his room, the walls closing in, and punched the pillow until his knuckles ached, tears mixing with sweat. Adulthood beckoned at 18 with a scholarship to the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. Packing his meager belongings, a suitcase of clothes, Elias's old toolbox, Alex faced Marlene at the door. "Don't forget to call," she said flatly, her eyes on the clock. Victor grunted from the couch. The drive away felt like shedding chains, the flatlands blurring into freedom. College was a whirlwind, late-night cram sessions in dimly lit libraries, the buzz of lectures on economics, part-time shifts at a bustling diner where tips bought independence. No more begging for allowance. Alex stood tall, proving his mettle to himself. Summers reverted to Elias's farm, now a ritual of renewal. The old man, grayer but no less vibrant, shared more enigmatic tales. "Your story's got chapters you ain't read yet," he'd tease over campfires, the flames dancing in his eyes. Alex pressed, but Elias demurred. "Patience, champ. The truth finds its time." Graduation came with honors, the auditorium echoing with applause. Alex scanned the crowd, Elias alone in the back, beaming in his Sunday best. The hug afterward was fierce. "You've conquered mountains, boy," Elias whispered. Tears stung Alex's eyes. It was validation he'd craved from the wrong sources. Returning to Omaha for a job at a top firm, Alex built walls of success. Promotions, a modest apartment with views of the Missouri River. He sent monthly checks to the Warrens, a silent repayment. Calls home yielded clipped responses. "Thanks, but unnecessary." Dylan floundered, dropping out and chasing schemes. Sophie chased trends, her social media a facade of glamour. Alex envied their ease, but resentment simmered beneath. At 29, inspiration struck. A Thanksgiving feast to bridge the chasm. Weeks of planning, selecting a riverside bistro with crystal chandeliers and velvet booths, curating a menu of herb-roasted turkey, cranberry relish, and pecan pie. Handwritten invitations poured out his hopes. "Let's gather and give thanks. For family." Responses were tepid, but Alex clung to optimism. Thanksgiving Eve, he paced his apartment, ironing his charcoal suit, practicing smiles in the mirror. Arriving early, the bistro's ambiance enveloped him. Soft jazz, clinking glasses, families bonding. "Big reunion?" the hostess asked. "Hoping so," Alex replied, stomach knotting. 6 o'clock came. The table mocked him with empty chairs. Texts went unanswered, calls to voicemail. At 6:45, Marlene picked up amid background merriment. "Victor's under the weather. We're fine here." Laughter, Dylan's joke, Sophie's giggle, pierced him. "Okay," Alex croaked, hanging up. He ordered a solitary plate, the food ash in his mouth, the candlelight blurring through unshed tears. The door chimed. Elias entered, snow-dusted coat and all. "Couldn't let you dine alone, champ." Relief flooded Alex. Over coffee, Elias's tone shifted. "Ever wonder why I'm your rock?" He produced a faded envelope. "Promise you'll stay strong." Inside, a photo of a woman with green eyes like his. A letter. A card. "That's your birth mother, Amelia," Elias revealed, unraveling a tale of forbidden love, abandonment, and desperate choices. Amelia, heiress turned outcast, entrusted baby Alex to Elias, who convinced Victor, his son, to adopt. "I thought they'd cherish you. I was wrong." The letter poured out Amelia's regrets. "I left to become worthy of you. I've searched endlessly. Alex's world tilted. Rage at the Warrens, pity for Amelia, gratitude for Elias. I need to meet her, he decided. First, confrontation. At the Warrens' home, amid their feast remnants, Alex announced his truth. Marlene sneered, "Think she'll fix you?" Elias thundered, "You've failed him enough." Walking out, Alex felt liberated. Seattle called. A flight with Elias, nerves like live wires. Amelia's cafe meeting was electric. Hugs, tears, stories exchanged. Her penthouse became a haven. Alex started entry level at her firm, earning his stripes. Grandpa relocated, tending balcony gardens. Bonds deepened over shared meals, guitar sessions, revelations. Months later, a plea from Sophie. Financial ruin from Dylan's gambles. Alex declined, Elias backing him. On his 30th, a joyous party solidified his new life. Standing on the balcony, city lights twinkling like stars, Alex whispered to Elias, "I'm home." Life's twists taught Alex. Belonging isn't begged, it's built. In forgiveness and self-worth, he found his epic tale's triumphant end.